Look at Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, and autoimmune flare-ups. On the surface, these seem like completely separate biological failures, affecting entirely different organs. Yet, beneath the symptoms, these conditions and over 150 other degenerative diseases are driven by the exact same hidden cellular crisis. This diagram shows how modern medicine typically approaches the problem by looking downstream. We wait until symptoms appear at the far end of the disease timeline and prescribe drugs to artificially force those markers back into normal ranges. Conversely, the upstream approach looks for foundational triggers at the very beginning of that timeline. Practitioners aim to remove environmental toxins, heal gut dysbiosis, and correct diets to stop the initial insult from ever happening. This creates a frustrating medical tension. Downstream interventions keep you stable today, but don't offer a cure. Upstream interventions offer long-term resolution, but they require months or years of lifestyle changes, time that a sick body rarely has. To reverse chronic disease, we have to look at what happens between the initial trigger and the final symptom. We need to intercept the pathology right in the middle of that timeline. This midstream point is the exact biological breaking point where outside environmental stressors finally cause our internal cellular machinery to malfunction. That specific breakdown has a name: calciumopathy. It is a massive disruption in how our cells process and signal with calcium. Because calcium governs almost every cellular function, this disruption initiates a cascade of failure across the entire body, fueling over 150 different diseases. Hitting the brakes at this specific phase of calciumopathy halts disease progression exactly where the cellular damage is happening, long before permanent organ failure sets in. Most of us think of calcium solely as the static building material of our bones. In reality, it is the universal intracellular messenger. It flows in and out of cells to dictate the precise moments when a neuron fires, when a muscle contracts, and when a gland secretes hormones. Under chronic upstream stress, precise signaling fails. Excess calcium becomes trapped, creating severe intracellular overload. This toxic calcium depolarizes mitochondria, triggering oxidative stress that kills the cell. To compensate, the body leaches skeletal calcium, which dumps into soft tissues, hardening along blood vessel walls. Calciumopathy presents a biological paradox. Under chronic stress, the exact mineral our body relies on most transforms into a rogue agent that tears our biological systems apart. Fixing this requires a midstream intervention. Anti-orbital ionic calcium, or AIC therapy, is designed specifically to restore ionic calcium homeostasis. By elevating serum ionic calcium, AIC shuts down parathyroid hormone production. In response, the thyroid releases calcitonin. This supercharges the BMP2 bone-building pathway, turning the skeletal system into a magnetic vacuum that pulls scattered toxic calcium back where it belongs. For the cardiovascular system, this skeletal sink pulls unionized dystrophic calcium out of the arterial walls. This reverses vascular calcification and allows smooth muscle cells to relax, which lowers blood pressure. In the brain, draining this calcium clears out the toxic intracellular overload. This protects neuronal mitochondria, preventing the signaling disruptions that drive diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And for metabolism, removing that cellular calcium blockade allows pancreatic beta cells to properly secrete insulin again, directly addressing the drivers of type 2 diabetes. This approach clears the biochemical obstructions that stall recovery, essentially flushing pathology out of multiple major organ systems simultaneously. This chart illustrates the stakes of systemic calcium dysfunction. When chronic calcium leaching degrades the skeleton into osteoporosis, all-cause mortality spikes by 36%. As the trend line shows, introducing AIC to rebuild the bone pushes that risk factor back down to baseline. By reversing calciumopathy in the midstream, we remove the biochemical roadblocks, like intracellular overload and soft tissue calcification, that drive disease progression. Restoring cellular balance halts the cycle of damage immediately. It provides the biological stability necessary for the body to begin its own repair process.